All right, all right. All right, here we go, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Opinionated Sports with Chris. I'm Chris. Boy, we got a lot to talk about today. So, for those of you who are listening, it's going to be Sunday that this gets dropped. But for those of you who don't know, I actually have to do the recording on Saturday because I have to edit it and do everything that I need to do to get it uploaded. So, at the time of this recording, right now, Loyola, Chicago has lost to the Michigan Wolverines. But you know what? I don't care. Hats off to Porter Moser and the Ramblers for an incredible, incredible run in this year's tournament. You know what? I watched that whole game today. And, man, at no point in that game did the spot seem too big for them. At no point did it look like they were just outmatched and they didn't really belong there. They got down 12-4 to start the game. Rough start. And they never really shot the ball well from the outside. Credit to Michigan and their defense for running Loyola off the three-point line. But at the end of the day, Michigan just proved to be too much for them. And I've doubted this Michigan team since the minute the tournament started. And every week I doubt them, and every week I swear they're going to lose, and every week they win another game. Mo Wagner had 24 and 15 today. He's a 6'11 forward who's just got a pretty stroke from the outside. He worked his inside game early. In the second half, he rotated up top, stepped outside, knocked down a few three-pointers, and rebounded the ball well against a Loyola big man, Krutwig, I believe is his name, who's actually a really fundamentally sound big man on the inside. But Mo Wagner rebounded well and scored well. So at the time of this recording, Loyola has lost, and the Kansas-Villanova game is about to tip off. So I'm going to do this. Go watch that, and I will report back on Wednesday, I will report on also the national championship game. So other things we're going to talk about today is I want to talk about Western Conference playoffs. I know I talk about this all the time, and I apologize for doing it, guys. But, man, let me tell you, at this point right now, where it stands, there is one game separating the 4 seed from the 8 seed. San Antonio, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, the Utah Jazz, and the Pelicans are separated by a game. So right now, this is the biggest thing to follow to see what happens. So we're going to talk about some Western Conference playoff stuff. But before we get into that, I want to start today off with talking about the Indiana Pacers. Now, those of you who've listened to the podcast before know that I have a text line. Hit me up on the text line at 315-355-3699. Dom from Ohio hit me up yesterday, Friday evening, and asked me to talk about the Indiana Pacers and what I thought about how their season has went, what I thought about the emergence of Victor Oladipo into whether I thought he was a pure superstar now in the league or not, and just where I stand with that. So here it is. Here's my analysis and breakdown of the Indiana Pacers. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest, in this time right now, because I'm talking so much about the Western Conference, and because LeBron is in the Eastern Conference and pretty much just dominates the headlines out there, and then you have the process in Philadelphia, which is fun to report on, the Pacers have kind of slipped under the radar here. The job that Nate McMillan has done with this team can't be overlooked, and he needs to be in conversation for Coach of the Year. He shouldn't win it. Don't get excited, Pacers fans. Brad Stevens should absolutely 100% without a doubt win Coach of the Year. Nobody has done more with less than Brad Stevens in Boston. But Nate McMillan has really put together a really good season out there with, I hate to say, a team of throwaways, but let's look at the roster. Okay, you got Victor Oladipo, who now that he's stepped out of Russell Westbrook's shadow, is a bona fide star. I remember Victor Oladipo at Indiana University. So I loved the trade in the offseason when he got to come to the Pacers. I felt like this was a homecoming for him and an ability for him to just mold a team into his own. And he has done that. He's crazy athletic. He showed that when he was in Indiana in college. He's gotten his jump shot to be a little bit better. I think it still has a little ways to go. But right now he's averaging 23, 5, and 4, which is really good stats on a team that consists of Darren Collison, who's serviceable. On any other team, he's serviceable, but Nate McMillan has him playing above his level. I'm going to apologize for the pronunciation of this one because I'll never seem to get it right. Bogdan Bogdanovic, that's what we're going with. This guy's not a starter anywhere in the league, let's be honest. Let's be honest. He probably wouldn't start on the Suns, and they might be the worst team in the NBA. But he's working. He knows his role, and he brings a style of European basketball to the Pacers that is becoming the evolution of the NBA. This European ball movement, player movement, jump shooting style is what's really moving where the NBA is moving towards. Then you have Thaddeus Young, who I do like Thaddeus Young. I like Thaddeus Young to be a reserve on a really good team. So for him to be starting in Indiana and for them to be really at this point playing for home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. Them and the Sixers are fighting. Indiana has a big game tomorrow against the Clippers. I'm going to watch that game. I'm looking forward to seeing where the Pacers can land themselves going into the playoffs. Miles Turner is the guy who I don't think gets enough credit in NBA circles. I've watched enough Pacers games. I haven't watched a ton, but I've watched enough to know that this kid is the real deal. He's currently averaging 13.7 rebounds, and just about 2 blocks a game, 1.9. So he's right there at 2 blocks a game. But it's more than the blocks on his defensive ability. He is quick laterally with his feet. He's good defensively in position. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. So here's the piece of the Victor Oladipo trade that I think people overlook sometimes. Domantas Sabonis came over in that trade for Paul George. So I know Domantas Sabonis from Gonzaga more than I know him from his rookie year in OKC. He didn't get enough run in OKC last year, which amazed me because that OKC team had nobody but Russell Westbrook last year. There was no reason for Domantas Sabonis not to be on the floor. Although, even though I am a Russell Westbrook fan, he wouldn't know how to use a guy like Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis is a smart, heady basketball player who passes the ball well from the inside, is fundamentally sound, and crafty with his back to the basket. He has great footwork, drop steps, shoulder dips, up and unders, hooks with both hands. He has the ability to score inside. And then coming off the bench, you also have Poitras and Glenn Robinson III, who are both capable bench players. But the X factor for the Indiana Pacers this year, who would have thought that Lance Stevenson, Mr. Hothead himself, Mr. I don't care about nobody Lance Stevenson, would find himself back in the Pacers and being the veteran leader that he is. You don't hear about him because he's not up to nonsense anymore. He's been a good veteran leader for Oladipo, for Miles Turner, and Domantas Sabonis. And the young boy, TJ Leaf, I believe he's a rookie this year. I'll have to double check that. He might have been a rookie last year. But he's young and talented and upcoming. So I'm looking forward to see what the Pacers can do in the playoffs. So, Dom, I appreciate the text. Shoot me one anytime, guys. Anybody. Shoot me a text at 315-355-3699. That's my breakdown of the Indiana Pacers right now. And I will say this to close it out. I've got them winning the first round of their playoffs, going to the conference semifinals, and what will benefit them is if they hit the 4 seed and they get to play Boston, I think that could be a really good matchup, and there's a good chance that the Pacers could go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Once you're there in the Eastern Conference Finals, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Do I think Indiana can beat Cleveland to get to the finals? No, not a chance. I truly don't think there's an opportunity there for them. But once you're there, who knows? So good luck to Indiana. Dom, thanks again. So moving on from that, I'm going to go over some Western Conference playoff situations, but I'm going to be super brief about this because I've talked about it ad nauseum lately here on my podcast, on my YouTube channel at Opinionated Sports. I've talked about it there. If you haven't downloaded and checked out the Sports Me app on your iPhone, it's currently in the Apple Store, will be on Android soon. But if you haven't checked out the Sports Me app on your iPhone, check that out. It's a great debate app. I've also talked about the Western Conference playoffs on there and on my Instagram account at opinionated_sports. All over the place, guys. You can find me anywhere. Shoot me a text anytime. Let me know what you want to hear, and I'll get it out to you. So here's the current standings in the Western Conference if the season ended today. And I'm going to start at 4 because we all know 1, 2, 3. We know Houston, Golden State, Portland. That's where that's going to land. After that, right now, 4, San Antonio Spurs. 5, Minnesota Timberwolves. 6, Oklahoma City Thunder. 7, Utah Jazz. 8, New Orleans. Tied in the 9 spot, 2 games out, are the Clippers and the Nuggets. That's where it currently stands. Here's the way I see it ending. In the 4 spot, still going to be the San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi Leonard, breaking news for those of you who haven't seen, went to New York today to see a doctor to get checked out and possibly cleared to play. He could come back for the last few games of the season and into the playoffs. That makes them dangerous. That makes them dangerous. Because in an unfortunate circumstance for them, if they drop a game, singular, just one, and they drop from the 4 to the 7, that's not a good matchup for Golden State Warriors. But we're going to get to that. At the 6th seed, I see the Utah Jazz. Their defensive efficiency since the All-Star break is second only to the Houston Rockets. Utah has been making moves, playing good ball. They just lost to Boston. I was shocked. I thought Utah was going to win that game. But again, Brad Stevens can't be anything other than Coach of the Year. Has them boys playing good out there with all of the injuries you could imagine. In the 6th spot, I think it's going to be the New Orleans Pelicans. 7 is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, and 8 will be the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's how I see it. Creates an intriguing matchup. The 2-7 matchup. Golden State, Oklahoma City, no Steph Curry. Oklahoma City right now holds a 2-1 regular season advantage with one more game against them to play. The Western Conference playoffs and matchups are going to be phenomenal. I can't wait. All right, let's quickly talk some baseball. Opening day was Thursday. We saw some good matchups. I saw Noah Syndergaard, Thor, come back with just a really great performance from him. The guy he was 2 years ago when the Mets were a playoff team, when they were a wild card team. So if you listened to my MLB preview show a week ago, I had the Mets on the outside looking in, not a playoff team. And I know that one game is only one game, but after that opening day start from Noah Syndergaard, if he can get back to Cy Young caliber outings and pitch in 23, 24 games and maybe go 17-3 or 17-4 with a couple of no decisions in there, that Mets team could absolutely sneak into the wild card. The National League wild card is wide open for anybody for the taking. But what about them Yankees? As of right now, they did lose today, 5-3, on some really heady plays from Kevin Pillar. Tampa Bay. The Toronto Blue Jays in the bottom of the 8th inning in a 3-3 game are up, or no, in a 4-3 game, Toronto is up 1. Pilar gets on first, steals second, steals third, steals home. And when he stole home, and I love when a player's aggressive and steals home, even as a Yankee fan, and it happened against us, it sucks, but it's only one game. I love the aggressiveness and the pressure that he put on the pitcher when he took off. Because as a pitcher, you're in your stretch, you look the runner off, you go to make your pitch, and then all of a sudden, all you hear is screaming. He's going, runner, whatever, from all over the place. It ended up being a wild pitch, and Pilar scored, stealing home. I don't know if they gave him credit for the steal on the wild pitch. They may have. I'd be curious to see what the statistician gave him for that. But so the Yankees are 2-1 right now, opening the season at Toronto. I'll take that. That's a series win. Giancarlo Stanton, opening day, had 2 home runs. It didn't hit bat well after that. Aaron Judge hasn't been swinging the bat extremely well. He played center field today, which was a twist, and I was a fan of what Aaron Boone did there, trying to move his outfield around with Aaron Hicks hurt. Aaron Hicks is hurt. Jacoby Ellsbury's hurt. Clint Frazier's hurt. We brought up Billy McKinnon yesterday. He started the game and left today. Brett Gardner came in and filled in for him. So the Yankees got good outings from Severino on opening day, a good outing from Tanaka yesterday. So we'll see that's really where the weakness of the Yankees is going to be. Is if their rotation can keep up, because we know the bullpen is stacked. Betances gave up some runs today. I think he gave up a solo shot on his first pitch on opening day too. But I'm not worried about Dellin Betances. I'm not worried about Aroldis Chapman. I'm not worried about Chad Green. I'm not worried about any of those guys. Our bullpen is stacked. David Price looked good in his opening day. Red Sox fans took that and ran with it like it's the David Price of Cy Young years. Ease up, Red Sox fans. He had 5 strikeouts and gave up 4 hits. Yes, it was a shutout. Congratulations. Great job. But really, he struck out 5 guys and gave up 4 hits against the Rays. So it's not like he was facing one of the top orders in the league and he just had a dominant performance. This is not your father's Tampa Bay Rays. This is the 2018 Rays, bottom dwellers in the American League right now. So, but that's where we're at for baseball. That's what I got today, guys. I'll be back again on Wednesday. We're going to talk about the national championship game. Right now, I'll give you a prediction. I think Villanova is going to win it. But being that I said that, it's probably going to end up being Michigan, because I've doubted them literally all 5 of their wins in the tournament. So who knows? But I do like Villanova to win the national championship starting right now. So also we'll talk a little bit more baseball. College basketball season will be over, so we'll talk about that. I am going to touch on Wednesday. I was going to do it today, but I will do it on Wednesday. We're going to talk about Darius Baisley, the Syracuse basketball recruit who opted to skip college, go straight to the G League, play a year in the G League before he enters the NBA draft. So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. So if you hear this, shoot me a text on the text line at 315-355-3699. Let me know what you think about Darius Baisley leaving college to go play in the NBA G League. I'll give you my opinion. I'll give you the positives and the negatives, the pros and the cons on Wednesday. We're going to talk about that along with a bunch of other stuff. Guys, as always, this was Opinionated Sports with Chris. I'll hit you guys up on Wednesday.